Welcome back to Saving Sweet William. We're really excited this week to have India Mustafa joining us from JMS Financial Services.
Hi Joe, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. It's really great to have you. Can you tell us what your mortgage expertise is?
I'm not an international mortgage broker, but I can help you raise equity on a UK property with the purposes of buying abroad.
Thank you. Today we're going to be talking about how to buy a property abroad. After years of dreaming about owning a property abroad, you come back from holiday and decide that this year you want to follow your dreams. You found a beautiful property and now you need to work on how to finance it. What are the options available to you?
So you've got four options here. You can get an overseas mortgage with a UK lender, which is rare, but it's not impossible. It does depend on the country you want to buy in. You can get a overseas mortgage with an overseas lender, which can open you up to better interest rates, but it can prove more difficult being a foreigner. Or you can go the two most popular routes, which is raising finance on your UK property to buy abroad, or if you're lucky enough, you can buy the property outright.
Is the financing of a property abroad a specialist market, and do high street names such as Barclays, NatWest offer products to finance property abroad?
Yes, so it is a specialist market. You're going to have to find a specialist international mortgage lender and a broker that will deal with this for you. The standard lenders that we know, they won't lend internationally because it's too risky. It's very complex. There's lots of different laws and regulations compared to the UK. But having said that, most of the UK lenders that we do know, they will allow you to raise equity on your UK property with the purposes of buying abroad.
Other than a mortgage provider, what other specialist services may be required? Foreign exchange companies?
Yes, so apart from a skilled and qualified mortgage broker, off the top of my head, you're going to need a foreign exchange company, translators, a estate agent that knows the local area, and a solicitor that's able to practice in that country and the UK and who knows the local laws of the area.
Is it a requirement to have a bank account in the country that you're thinking of buying a property in?
It's always a good idea to have a bank account in a country you own a property in, and depending on the country, it could be law.
Thank you. How difficult is it to acquire a mortgage from a foreign bank, and what is the most common route for people who need to borrow money to buy abroad?
So it can be quite difficult, especially being a foreigner buying in a different country. Due to language barriers, there's going to be different laws than what we're used to here in the UK. Can be a really long process or a really short process. And I would definitely be on the lookout for fraud. So I would advise anybody to get independent legal advice before handing any money over. The most common, ways to raise money would be on a UK property that you already own here in the UK. That way, the mortgage is in your own language, and as British citizens, we have greater legal protection.
Are buy-to-let mortgages common when buying abroad?
Yeah, so it depends on the country again, and if you are going to be renting a property out abroad, you need to make sure that the law allows it and that you have any, licenses that they require for you to have.
If a buy-to-let mortgage is required, is affordability calculated based on current income, or is income from renting a property taken into account?
So as far as I'm aware, it's not like a UK buy-to-let where the loan amount is based off of the rental income. In most circumstances, it's going to be based off of affordability. So that's your earned income and your pension income against things like credit commitments and background debt.
If you're buying a house that you would like to use for just a few weeks a year and the rest of the time you're thinking of renting it out, what type of mortgage would you need for this?
So in the UK, any mortgage that you're going to be renting out is classed as a buy-to-let mortgage. Say, for instance, you're raising on your UK property, then you would tell the lender that it's for an international buy-to-let. And depending on the country that you're buying in, it does depend on their laws.
Okay. If you're considering releasing equity from your home in the UK, is there a minimum or maximum value required?
Yeah, so in the UK, there's always going to be a maximum loan to value, which means that there's a maximum amount that you can borrow, which is based on a lot of things, the property value, the loan amount that you already have on the property, together with your current circumstances and affordability criteria, stuff like that.
Are there any age limits on equity release?
So if you're talking about a specific equity release mortgage, that's for 55 and overs. But if you're talking about releasing equity on your property, as in a buy-to-let or a further advance, for an example, then there are age limits. You can go to a maximum of 70. Some lenders do 75, some 80, but it does depend on lender criteria and your affordability circumstances.
Okay. If you're buying a property with cash, what taxes will you be liable for in the UK?
Okay, so if you live in the UK, you pay tax in the UK, then you have to tell HMRC about any rental income that you receive, that including from properties abroad. You'll be taxed on it the same way as you're taxed on a UK buy-to-let, and you can use the exchange rate of when the rent was paid to you. If you're domiciled outside of the UK and you're not normally resident inside the UK, then you might be able to get the tax charged on a remittance basis, which means that you only pay tax on income received in the UK. But that's a very specialist and complex area, and I'm not a tax advisor, so please do seek professional tax advice on this one.
Thank you. If a British citizen is buying in the EU, will they be able to make a case to extend the amount of time they can spend in the EU from the 90-day to 180-day rule?
As far as I'm aware, unfortunately, no, and I haven't heard of any plans of this to be extended anytime soon.
Okay. Can you borrow more than the value of the property for building works and extensions?
So, like I said, there is a maximum loan to value, especially in the UK. You can't borrow more than what the property is worth. But if you are talking about you having enough equity in your property to pull out to buy the property abroad outright, along with doing some building works, then it does depend on the lender's criteria, your circumstances, affordability. So it could be possible.
Thank you ever so much for joining us, India. It's been really great having you.
Thanks for having me.
And we're hoping that in the future we'll be able to have you back again. If anybody would like to speak to India or contact JMS Financial Services for advice, please see their details now on the screen. Thank you all for being here. It's really great to have you with us.